Yo, what's up guys, it's your boy Sami here. Today we are gonna see, what if Naruto has the ice release chakra, part 5. Hope you'll enjoy this video. So before we start, please subscribe to our channel, and like this video. So let's get into the video. As Ibiki finished his speech about the values of a small cyclone picked up at the front of the room, leaves swirling around and around. As the leaves died down, a person appeared at the center of the cyclone, clearly a woman if the two bulges at the front of the chest piece were anything to go by. She had long purple hair, and deep brown eyes with a sword strapped to the back of her standard Anbu armor, with a CAD mask covering most of her face. "Hello, I am Nico, I will be the proctor of your second exam," declared the woman. "Now for the second exams you will need to return to your teams," continued Nico. Having no team to return to, Naruto simply kicked back in his chair again where he waited for a few moments, as teams quickly reformed. "The cane?" spoke Naruto internally, trying to talk with the Biju. With no response, Naruto sighed, and simply waited. After a moment the teams had apparently reformed, and the proctor from the previous exam had left the room. For the second test each of you will interrogate who knows the location of the scroll with information about the next stage. You will each have to retrieve the scroll, and head to the place it tells you for the next test, declared the purple-haired Anbu agent. "And the catch?" questioned Naruto, locking eyes with the Anbu agent, knowing that the test, as described, was way too simple. "The catch is that you are not allowed to use lethal force throughout the test, however they have not been told so, and once you leave the building, where you are interrogating they will not be there should you go back to interrogate them further," declared the Anbu in a way that definitely made it sound like she was smirking. On top of that, there are several other fail conditions. Should you get captured you fail, you use lethal force you fail to have the scroll with you. When you arrive at the next stage's location, guess what? You fail, spoke the woman in a slightly condescending tone. "You will now be led to the interrogation rooms," declared the Anbu. Naruto waited while he walked up to him. Naruto nodded, as he stood up, and followed him out of the room, and was led down the hall. After a few minutes of walking, Naruto found himself in front of a seemingly random door. Naruto opened the door to find a male tied to a chair by a ninja wire. The ninja's eyes widened for a moment before narrowing into a glare. "Great, one of these bastards," thought Naruto to himself, as he closed the door behind him. "We can do this one of two ways you can," Guy interrupted, when the spat at Naruto hitting him square in the face. Naruto shut his eyes, as he quickly wiped the saliva from his face with his left hand, and flicked his hand. "That was not a bright idea," declared Naruto, opening his eyes to see the smirking. With a sigh, Naruto reached into his pocket, and pulled out a cigarette. Lighting it, Naruto allowed the nicotine to calm his nerves with atrocious memories trying to jump to the forefront of his mind, before blowing the smoke into the Chunin's face. Upon hearing the snort, in an effort to build up enough snot and saliva to once more spit at Naruto, dashed forwards, ripping them from his chair by his throat. "No more of that," declared Naruto, squeezing the man's throat for emphasis before throwing the man into the wall behind him, then grunted as he hit the wall. However, before he could even lift himself to his feet, he felt himself being lifted up by his wrists. Naruto took another drag from his cigarettes, as he pulled them up with his chakra chains. Hanging slightly with his chains, Naruto pulled out a kunai, spinning it on his finger with the ring on the end of the weapon. "You want to tell me the location of the scroll?" questioned Naruto, looking at the "Go to hell," spoke the man, glaring back at Naruto, his side rolling his eyes. "Well then, tough guy, let's see how high your pain tolerance is," declared Naruto, stalking forwards with his kunai in right hand, while his left hand began to glow green. "You're so unlucky I'm on my own, and not with my team for this," continued Naruto. However, before they could answer, Naruto slammed his kunai into the Chunin's lower abdomen, causing the man to grunt in pain. With not even a moment to rest, Naruto began to pull the kunai along the man's stomach, ripping and tearing at the flesh. They wanted to yell at the pain, but he wouldn't give the Kyuubi brat the satisfaction. However, as he felt the kunai reach the other side of his abdomen, he was filled with fear, as a blissful feeling covered the wound. "Can't you lose consciousness before I have the info I need?" declared Naruto with a cruel smirk, as he healed the wound he caused, even going so far as to heal over where the kunai now resided. The healing forced the out of the blissful call of unconsciousness. Naruto pulled on the kunai now sealed behind the Chunin's skin, making the man grimace in pain, as he felt the sharp blade rip and tear at his flesh, followed a moment later by the blissful feeling of that very same flesh stitching itself back together around the kunai's hilt. The captive couldn't hold back a scream, as Naruto ripped the kunai out from under his skin, before quickly healing it over, stopping any blood loss. "Ready to talk?" questioned Naruto, looking at the man passively. "Go fuck yourself," groaned the trying to force away the pain. "Oh, that's not a nice thing to say," declared Naruto, slamming his bloody kunai into the Chunin's chest, specifically his right pectoral muscle. Meanwhile, Naruto's left hand developed a frosty aura, as it hovered over the left side of the man's chest. As Naruto put his frosted hand to the Chunin's chest, a cold feeling spread out from the hand, slowly creeping its way down the Chunin's body. Another scream ripped its way out of the Chunin's body, as Naruto turned the kunai, ripping and tearing the flesh open. As the freezing spread even further, the destroyed flesh around the kunai began to freeze. Tell me where the scroll is, ordered Naruto with a glare at the never gas, trying to not give in to the pain. Naruto sighed once more, holding his left hand in a tiger hand sign, while he took his right hand from the kunai and wrapped it around the Chunin's wrist. Are you certain you don't want to tell me? It might just cost you something you hold dear, spoke Naruto, speaking the last word with some of Akane's yakai leaching into his vocal cords. All the while a nine-tailed monster appeared behind him, as his eyes glowed red. At this point was terrified, almost to the point that he didn't feel the cold creeping its way down from his wrists to the tips of his fingers. Fine, I'll tell you, just stop it, stuttering, looking away from Naruto. Naruto's eyes went back to normal, the illusionary monster behind him vanished, and the creeping cold receded towards Naruto's hand. Tell me, I know if you are lying I will end you, and your family, snarled Naruto with a glare at the now cowering. The scroll is in a house in the red light district, 5 kamikaze lanes, in the basement, where they spoke. At this point Naruto kicked him in the head, knocking him out, before turning around, and stepping towards the door. As Naruto went to open the door he sighed, and quickly created a clone. With a nod to the clone Naruto opened the door, and stepped out. He'll be fine. My clone will heal him, declared Naruto, walking down the hallway towards an open window. Upon reaching the window Naruto quickly threw himself out of the window, before he quickly vanished in a swirl of snow. Red light district. Naruto appeared in a swirl of snow just inside the red light district. Looking around, the blonde shinobi couldn't banish the nostalgic smile from his face. Shaking his head, Naruto began walking towards his destination. As he walked, people smiled and waved at him. He returned the gestures in kind. However, as he drew close to his location he felt something off about the address he was given. Should you get caught you fail, the words echoed in his mind, as the red-haired blonde quickly took to the roofs. That would explain that little rule, thought Naruto to himself, as it became clear that there were in fact 3 people guarding the house he was headed to. As Naruto reached the house, or at least, as close as he could get without being seen, he looked at the front of the house to see a woman, if he had to guess, and she was guarding the door. The hopeful examined the house that was apparently home to the scroll he needed. It was a dilapidated little cottage. The paint on the walls was peeling away, the wooden beams appeared to be rotting, and the whole roof seemed to sag. The Uzumaki heir pulled his bow off his back, and formed an ice arrow. As he pulled the string on his bow back, just as the tip of the arrow formed it was shot forwards at high speed. As Naruto planned, the arrow hit the sagging roof with a solid thunk sound, alerting the door. Before they could do anything the arrow had exploded, causing the roof to collapse. The door looked at the house, shocked, before ripping the door open, and quickly moving inside. As she did this Naruto dropped from the roof of the home he was onto the alleyway beside it, behind a large dumpster. Once his feet touched the ground, the blonde red-haired shinobi quickly formed a chakra chain. However, unlike most of the chains he formed, this one appeared to have a drill-like tip. Pushing his hand to the ground, the drill-like chain began to tunnel underground. After a few moments, the who ran into the house ran back outside, quickly leaping to the roof of the building next to Naruto. Naruto breathed a sigh of relief, as the female Chunin's chakra signature began to disappear, as she clearly began to look around for someone. The moment after the first left, Naruto quickly drew his chakra chain back to him, having snagged the scroll from within the home. However, just as he got the scroll, 2 more appeared from the door. The 2 clearly saw movement in Naruto's alleyway, as they rushed over, but were left disappointed when all they saw was a small pile of snow. Damn it, how long do we have to catch them? Questioned one of them, looking at the other. The next exam is tomorrow. If we get them before then we might still get paid for this, declared the second. Meanwhile with Naruto, the red-haired blonde shinobi appeared in his old apartment in a swirl of snow and ice. He wasn't surprised to find the place trashed. He didn't care at the moment. Looking down at the scroll he found it to be a simple scroll with a spiky green pattern on the top and bottom of it, with not much else to distinguish it from any other scroll. Upon opening it, however, Naruto was very confused. Is this really the scroll? Questioned Naruto, looking down at the contents of the scroll. The picture of a woman, and the words Training Ground 22, Friday. Naruto walked into Training Ground 22, half expecting to see the woman whose picture was in his scroll, but when he stepped into the training ground, he found a tiger-masked Anbu standing there. Welcome, declared the Anbu, looking at Naruto, who nodded in response. Once you show me your scroll I will explain to you the 3rd stage of the exams, said the man. Naruto once more nodded, before pulling the scroll out of his pouch, and lobbed it to the Anbu. The man unfurled the scroll, and looked over it, clearly making sure it was genuine. Once he was satisfied with the scroll he rolled it back up, and tossed it back to Naruto. So let me guess, surveilling the woman in the picture, and stealing something from her? Asked Naruto, pocketing the scroll. Close, you will most likely be surveilling her, and you will be stealing something from her, but that something will be her life, declared the Anbu, shocking Naruto. Assassinating her? Questioned Naruto, genuinely confused. Yes, however you will be doing so stealthily, like all of the targets for this exam. She is a former bandit mind wiped by Yamanaka, and will be under the guard of a squad of. If one of them catches you, you fail. If you do not manage to assassinate your target within the next week you fail. If anyone sees you kill the woman you fail, declared the Anbu ominously. Do I get a name? inquired the blonde genin. Now you have a week to find the woman and assassinate her. More than enough time. You may use any resources available to you to find her, spoke the Anbu. And once I have killed her, there's no way this is the last stage. How will I know about the next stage? Questioned Naruto. Once your target is confirmed dead, you will be delivered a scroll with the location of the next stage, said the Anbu, getting a nod from Naruto. Alright, is that all? Asked Naruto. Unless you have further questions, you may begin, spoke the Anbu. Naruto nodded before he vanished in a swirl of snow. Hokage Monument. Naruto appeared in another swirl of snow on the highest point within the village. He had a lot of ground to cover, and not much information to work with. The Kane Yokai pulse, spoke Naruto within his mind, and a moment later he felt a somewhat large pulse of Yokai surge through him, not large enough to make people worry, but enough to cover the whole village. Plenty of trained chakra signatures, and at least 200 groups of 5 spread throughout the village, declared the Biju. Naruto sighed. He knew it was a long shot, but he was hoping for more than that. Any specific areas I should be looking at? Questioned Naruto. A significant number appear to be in the market district, and the red light district. Naruto-kun, Dosu, Zaku, and Kin are in the village, declared the Biju. Naruto froze, before flipping through a short chain of hand signs. Hori Bunshin no Jutsu, Ice Clone Jutsu, spoke to Naruto, the water in the air next to him freezing into a pair of clones. You know what to do, declared Naruto. The clones both nodded, before disappearing in twin swirls of snow. Where are they? Questioned Naruto to his tenant. Go to the academy, you should be able to sense them from there, declared a king. Once more Naruto vanished in a swirl of snow. Academy. Naruto appeared outside the academy grounds, and just, as Akane had predicted, he could sense the trio of ninja nearby. The blonde Konoha shinobi took to the rooftops, heading in the direction he could sense the trio. After a few moments of roof running, he found them, within a park, apparently discussing their next move. Naruto with a smirk kicked off the roof he was on, and flew towards the park, landing in a crouch with a loud thud, as he looked at the 3 surprised people in front of him. Naruto? Questioned the black-haired girl among them. Hey you lot, said Naruto standing up. Naruto yelled at the girl running forwards, and tackling Naruto. Hey Kin, spoke Naruto, a smile creeping onto his face, as he did, only for the now crying girl to punch him in the chest. He said you were dead. He told us you were dead. Where were you? Questioned Kin, punching Naruto in the chest, while the other 2 members of the team settled for glaring at the blonde. I'm sorry, but it was beyond time for me to move on. I only stayed so long to secure your freedom from the more deadly of his experiments, said Naruto. Why now, Naruto? Why show yourself now? Questioned a borderline mummified genin, looking at Naruto, shaking his hands around. Because I needed to speak with you, preferably without him around, said Naruto. About what? Questioned the mummified genin. You're leaving Oto, and joining Konoha, said Naruto, as Kin pushed herself off Naruto. Naruto, you can't be serious. We work for one of Konoha's biggest traders. Why would they simply just let us join Konoha's ranks? Asked the last of the genin. I am serious, Saku, and I am, because if you agree to reveal what you know about that snake, I can offer you asylum here in Konoha under the protection of my clan, and even Orochimaru isn't stupid enough to attack a whole village for 3 genin, said Naruto. Naruto, he began Zaku. He already plans to attack Konoha. Yes, I know, Zaku, you underestimate me. I still have spies in that village, said Naruto with a smirk. So why do you need us? Surely your spy can provide all the information you need, spoke the mummified genin. I don't need you 3 for anything, Dosu. I want you 3 here, because you are my friends, and some of the very few decent people of Oto, said Naruto, giving his mummified friend a deadpan look. What do we do? Asked Dosu. Nothing for the time being, declared Naruto, getting a nod from genin in front of him. I'll be in touch, continued Naruto, turning around, and walking away. Good luck you 3, and be careful, spoke Naruto before he vanished in a swirl of snow. Elsewhere. Naruto appeared outside of the Hokage Tower, and he sighed that this was going to be a long conversation. Walking into the tower, he ignored the secretary, who was up to her eyes in paperwork anyway, and headed up the stairs towards the Hokage's office. Upon reaching the right floor, he found the doors to the Hokage's office open. Seeing that, he stepped straight into the Hokage's office. Hokage-sama spoke to Naruto, drawing the elderly man's attention. Naruto-kun, what can I do for you? Asked the elderly Kage. I have some friends that are currently in the village, and several who will most likely come soon, who would like to defect from their current village, and join Konoha. I have offered them protection under the Uzumaki clan, and they are willing to give any and all information they can about their current village, spoke Naruto, causing Hiruzen to quirk a brow at the boy. Okay, they will need to give that information to me or a member of the T&I department, said Hiruzen. I know, declared Naruto, pulling out a cigarette and lighting it. Which village are they coming to us from? Asked Hiruzen. Oto, spoke Naruto, drawing an intrigued look from Hiruzen. Alright then, where are they going to stay? You and I both know that Jiraiya's home only has so many rooms, almost all of which are already taken, and I'm sure you're more than eager to get away from his perverted antics. And while the Uzumaki are technically a clan of Konoha, they have no compound, said Hiruzen. Well, there is always the Senju compound, said Naruto. Hiruzen went to speak only for Naruto to interrupt. Now before you say I'm not a Senju, yes I am well aware of that, but there is only one Senju left in the world who we both know will not return to this village willingly. We also both know that the Senju and Uzumaki clans were once one and the same, and out of anyone in this village, I am the closest to a Senju. Given I am an Uzumaki, my mother was unofficially adopted into the Senju clan, and my godmother is the last living Senju, declared Naruto. Hiruzen, who was about to talk, stopped for a moment to think about what Naruto said. You do have a point, but it's still a clan compound for a clan that you are technically a part of, said Hiruzen. Naruto sighed, and pulled up the sleeve of his shirt, revealing a Senju crest on his shoulder. I wasn't supposed to show this to anyone until we were all in the village, but from the looks of it, she's not coming back anytime soon. So here, said Naruto, unsealing a piece of paper from the Senju crest on his shoulder, before handing it to Hiruzen, whose eyes widened at the piece of paper. How did? Asked Hiruzen, his words dying in his throat. I met Tsunade a few weeks after leaving, said Naruto, his eyes narrowing to Hiruzen, who nodded. With this I can give you access to the Senju compound, said Hiruzen with a nod. Now back to these friends of yours, are more to the point. Naruto, I need to know how you became associated with Otto, said Hiruzen. Naruto nodded to his grandfather figure. Well begun, Naruto. Flashback. A 7-year-old Naruto sat in a clearing sitting on a rock. He had been on his own, again, for about a week now. The young blonde jumped to his feet when he heard a noise from the edge of the clearing, narrowing his eyes. As he looked over, 2 people stepped out. One was a red-haired girl, the other was a white-haired boy. The red-haired girl had brown eyes, while the white-haired boy had green eyes. Boy, Kimimura looks like the brat thinks he's tough, said the girl, nudging the boy, who looked at Naruto with a raised eyebrow. That seems a too refined stance to have taught yourself, said Kimimura, looking at Naruto. He narrowed his eyes at the pair. He knew he had no chance against them, but he also knew he had nowhere to run. They would catch him if he did run. So child, where are your parents? Asked Kimimura, looking at Naruto, who looked down at the question, making both the redhead and Kimimura look at the boy with varying degrees of pity. Why don't you come with us? I'm sure that our master will make you feel welcome in our village, declared Kimimura with an impassive voice. Naruto looked at the ground for a moment. Alright, said Naruto, hesitantly looking up at the white-haired man. Cool, you got a name, kid? Asked the red-haired girl, who was really only asking as a courtesy. Naruto Uzumaki, stuttered Naruto, making both of the older people's eyes widen. Kimimura looked at the red-haired girl, who looked shocked. Uzumaki? Questioned the girl, looking at Naruto with a raised brow. Yes, why? Asked Naruto, looking back at the girl. Teiya Uzumaki, nice to meet you, said Teiya with a soft smile. Then that means your family? Questioned Naruto, looking at her with a smile and tears in his eyes. Teiya's self-restraint failed her, and she rushed forwards and wrapped the boy in a hug. Don't cry, Toto, whispered Teiya, tears forming in her own eyes as she hugged the boy. Then you stop crying, Ni-chan, whispered Naruto, looking up at the girl, who just started to giggle at the comment. She stood up and looked at Kimimura. You tell anyone about this, and I will castrate you with the dullest and rustiest kunai I can find before force-feeding you your own balls, declared Teiya, getting quick nods from the white-haired teen whose skin had gone as white as his hair. Come on, Naruto, let's go, said Teiya, holding out her hand for the young blonde, who smiled warmly at the older Uzumaki before taking her hand. The 3 people walked out of the clearing and through the forest, Kimimura following the 2 Uzumaki. After about 20 minutes of walking, the trio found themselves at what looked to be a bunker with stone snakes all around it. Naruto was a little frightened by the stone serpents. It's okay, Naruto-kun, I'll protect you, said Teiya, as she pushed the blonde in front of her before walking inside the bunker. Kimimura stayed silent behind the 2 of them. The trio walked along the long candle-lit hallways. After arriving at a specific door, Teiya pushed the door open before she, Naruto, and Kimimura walked inside. Ah, Kimimura-kun, Teiya-chan, welcome back. I trust the mission was a success, said a voice, as a man walked out of the shadows. The man had pitch black hair, golden eyes, and pale skin. Yes, Orochimaru-sama, the mission was completed, declared Kimimura from behind Naruto and Teiya. Excellent, now I must ask, who is this? Asked Orochimaru, looking at Naruto, who hugged himself to Teiya. Orochimaru-sama, this is Naruto Uzumaki. We found him on our way back here alone in the woods, and suggested he come here, said Teiya. Orochimaru raised an eyebrow at Naruto. Where are you from, Naruto-kun? Asked Orochimaru. Konoha, said Naruto, making Orochimaru's eyes widen momentarily in surprise. Outwardly the man showed nothing, but inside, well. This is Namikaze's child, what a wonderful find. I think I might just mold him into my perfect weapon to burn Konoha to the ground, thought Orochimaru to himself. Well, welcome to Odo, or at least part of Odo, Naruto-kun. What is it you want to be when you grow up? Asked the snake Sannin. I want to be a big strong ninja, said Naruto excitedly with a grin. Well, I could help you with that, I could train you, said Orochimaru, shocking Naruto, Kimimura, and Teiya. Really? Questioned Naruto, shocked that the man who he had only met moments before would offer to train him. Orochimaru just nodded to the boy, who began to jump up and down. You hear that, Ni-chan? I'm gonna be an awesome ninja, said Naruto, happily making Taiya's smile, which in itself got a raised eyebrow from Orochimaru. This training isn't going to be easy, Naruto-kun, Orochimaru. I don't care, declared Naruto. Flashback end. Naruto sighed, scrunching up another piece of paper, and tossing it aside. It had been 5 days since the beginning of the third stage of the exams, and in that time Naruto had found his quarry, and managed to figure out her schedule to a rough enough degree that he could begin to plan his assassination of the woman. Thankfully he was alone in his and Jiraiya's home, as the perverted sage had been assigned a mission by the Hokage, and was out of the village, while Fu was out with Ino and Shino. While Naruto did have access to the Senju compound, he was going to wait until after the exams to actually move in. The blonde shinobi let his head hang back, taking a deep breath. The clauses of the exam made it difficult for him, as well he had performed assassinations before, the ones that had to be done stealthily. He could kill people who saw him afterwards. Naruto glanced at a mask lying on the desk he was currently seated at. It looked almost like a clock face with 2 eyes cut into it. No, muttered Naruto, looking away from the mask. It was a last resort, he still had 2 days. The hopeful had made, and then dismissed plan after plan over the last 2 days. He had found the woman on the second day of the test. Naruto had followed her himself for the rest of that day, and the next day before sending out clones to do so, while he himself plotted her demise. Naruto-kun, I'm bored, spoke Akane from within his mind. I know, Kane-chan, you have said so many times today, but I need to concentrate on this, declared Naruto. Most of the plans Naruto had devised would deliver death to the woman, but most would either leave collateral damage, setting an explosive tag up in her apartment for example, or would be easily traced to him, killing her at long range with an arrow. Poison her, recommended Akane. Too risky. Poisoning her directly would draw too much attention, and indirectly could leave collateral damage, or just make her sick, replied Naruto. Miss, proposed Kitsune. To be conspicuous, it hasn't been misty here in months, and my chakra would be everywhere in that mist, declared the icy shinobi. Use a summon, offered white-haired woman. Would end in the kill, but I am known to have the fox summoning contract, countered by the Uzumaki. Henge transformation, and just kill her, suggested Biju. Well, I can outrun most people. I wouldn't put it past her to call the Anbu, and I don't think I could get away far enough, or long enough to undo the henge, spoke the genin. Naruto's mind went quiet, Akane not giving any more suggestions. The silence was almost deafening to Naruto. However, like a flash of lightning, an idea occurred to Naruto. That could work, declared Akane, knowing the idea, one benefit of being in his head. But to trigger it, I would need to be nearby, thought Naruto, almost cursing. Use a trespass seal, suggested Akane. Once again Naruto's mind went silent for a moment. As Akane went to speak again, Naruto appeared before her. Naruto began. Akane, confused, cut off, as Naruto grabbed her by the cheeks, and pulled her into a kiss. That's perfect, Akane-chan, thank you, declared Naruto after pulling back from the affectionate gesture, not paying attention to Akane's reddening cheeks, before vanishing from his mind. Akane was left there stunned. Her face was bright red. She brought her hand up, and touched her lips. You're welcome, muttered the woman in a dazed state. Naruto himself quickly looked at the clock, determining that he did in fact have time to work his idea, before grabbing his shoes, leaving his giant cleaver next to his desk, and running out of the house, closing and locking it behind him. 5 minutes later, Naruto landed on the rooftop of an apartment building close to the market district, spreading out his senses mostly as a precaution. He knew his target wouldn't be home for several hours, but caution was always a good idea. Finding neither his target nor her bodyguards anywhere nearby, the blonde slipped off the roof and down the side of the building, landing in a small alleyway between the building he had been on and the one next to it. Walking a little deeper into the alleyway, Naruto found himself at a door with nothing but a deadbolt. The red-haired blonde crossed the middle and index fingers on both hands and formed the Hyoten-specific hand sign, and carefully channeled a small amount of chakra towards his hands. As he channeled his chakra, 2 slivers of ice formed above his hands, seemingly in the shape of lockpicks. Taking the ice slivers, Naruto put them into the deadbolt on the door, and with practiced ease, picked the lock in under 30 seconds. Once the lock was picked, the door opened. Quickly slipping inside the building, Naruto made his way out of the laundry room he found himself in. Stealthily, Naruto made his way upstairs, careful not to alert anyone else within the building. After several flights of stairs, Naruto stopped in front of a door. Once again with his trusty ice picks, Naruto unlocked the lock on the door. Stepping into the apartment, Naruto softly closed the door behind him, and locked it again, as he would be leaving through a window that he would close after himself. Walking through the apartment, Naruto made his way to the bathroom. With a smirk on his face, Naruto unsealed a pot of ink and a brush from a seal on his neck. An hour later, as Naruto put the finishing touches on his seal, he smirked to himself, and pulsed a small amount of chakra into one part of the seal, which rendered all of the black ink scrawled over the walls, floor, and ceiling invisible. Walking out of the bathroom, leaving the door open, he then made his way to the lounge window. Opening the window, Naruto hopped through it, and quickly closed it behind him, before jumping away from the apartment complex. The red-haired blonde jumped from roof to roof headed back to his and Jiraiya's home. As he drew close, however, he felt something off. Ignoring it, he continued on. Once Naruto reached his home, he knew something was off. Flicking his right hand out to the side, he pushed Chakra into the limb, and specifically a seal on his hand with a poof of smoke. A demonic-looking katana appeared in his hand. The blade was pitch black, with 6 rear-facing hooks on the weapon with a kunai-like pommel with a demonic eye between the sharpened edges. Walking up the path, Naruto saw that the door was still in fact locked. Holding his blade at the ready, Naruto pulled out his keys and unlocked the door. Stepping inside, he saw that nothing was out of place, nothing out of the ordinary. Everything was perfect. Too perfect. It's been a while, sensei, declared Naruto. Naruto-kun spoke in a voice, as a man stepped out of the shadows. So how's my favorite student? Questioned the pale-skinned golden-eyed man, smirking, as he held the mask that had been on Naruto's desk. Favorite? I thought that title would forever be held by your personal brown nose. How's Kabuto these days? Questioned the blonde, pulling out a box of cigarettes before flicking one out of the box. Come now, Naruto-kun, you know I didn't come here to talk about Kabuto, declared Orochimaru. So what did you come to talk about? Questioned Naruto, lighting his smoke. I see you have collected more Uzumaki clan relics. How many are you at now? Asked Orochimaru. Well, including the one you are holding, it's 5, spoke Naruto. By quarter of them with one person. You have been a busy bee, haven't you? But you and I both know that this isn't the actual mask of Quicksilver, declared Orochimaru, holding up the mask. But whatever makes you say that? Questioned Naruto, blowing out a cloud of smoke, trying to seem relaxed even if he was tightening his grip on his sword. The mask of Quicksilver, the real one, displays a clock face with the time being 9:10. This one, however, has the time as 12:30, meaning it's a fake, declared Orochimaru, throwing the plaster mask to the floor, shattering it. Well, I didn't know, sensei. It must still be at the mask temple in Kiri, said Naruto, feigning shock. Now Naruto, you know better than to toy with me, spoke to Orochimaru in a scolding tone. That I do, hence why I have been recording this conversation, and should anything happen to me, the recording will be reverse summoned to the Hokage, spoke Naruto with a smirk. Orochimaru narrowed his eyes at his former student. Is there anything else, sensei? Questioned Naruto, still smirking. Now that you mention it, there is. I would very much appreciate it if you kept your nose out of my business while I am here, declared Orochimaru. Which part of your business here? Marking the Uchiha, the invasion you have planned? Asked Naruto. Both. I would hate to have to hurt your little friend Zenodo for your misdeeds, declared Orochimaru with a smirk. You lay one finger on them, began Naruto, shadows beginning to dance behind him, as his eyes turned ice-cold silver. Like I said, Naruto, keep your nose out of my business, and I will honor our agreement, spoke the snake Sannin. Fine, spat Naruto. Good, I'm sure we will see each other again at some stage soon, Naruto-kun, declared Orochimaru, walking past Naruto, and out the door. Once Orochimaru was out of the house, Naruto let out a deep breath, as his legs failed him, and he dropped to the ground, breathing heavily. Naruto-kun, called Akane, worried. I'm fine, Akane-chan, replied Naruto, huffing and puffing. After a moment, Naruto composed himself, and quickly bit his thumb, and flipped through hand signs. Kuchus no Jutsu, summoning jutsu, called Naruto, slamming his hand into the ground, causing a plume of smoke to erupt from his hand. Naruto-sama, spoke in a somewhat deep voice. As the smoke cleared, the owner of the voice was revealed to be a two-tailed white fox, about the size of a dog. Ayashi, hey, Orochimaru was here. I need you to see if he left any surprises around the house, please, asked Naruto, getting a nod from the fox, who quickly moved off. With that done, Naruto quickly moved over to a nearby couch, and collapsed on it. About an hour later, Naruto was awoken by the sound of knocking on the front door. Shaking his head to rid himself of the last of his sleepiness, Naruto got up, and moved to the front door. As he did, he stretched out his senses to see if Ayashi was still around, and to see who may have been at the door. Not being able to sense his summon, he assumed the fox either found nothing, and left, or found something, and dealt with it. Hello, Anbu-san, spoke Naruto, opening the door to see the tiger-masked Anbu, who had given him the instructions on the 3rd stage of the exams. Hello, Naruto-san, congratulations on passing the 3rd stage. Your target was found dead due to asphyxiation in her bathroom an hour ago, declared the Anbu, Naruto simply nodding. His seals had worked. Once the woman closed her door, it would create a room that would not allow any oxygen in, and would, in addition to her breathing using any already in the room up seals, would slowly siphon it out of the room. Here are the instructions for the next stage, declaring the Anbu, handing Naruto a scroll, before vanishing in a swirl of leaves. Naruto closed the door, and headed back inside, opening the scroll as he went. As he expected, the scroll itself had little information on it, simply Training Ground 44, Friday, 11 o'clock. Naruto stood leaning against the fence of Training Ground 44, as the last of the prospective Chunin showed up. He didn't need to expand his senses to know he had more than one set of eyes on him, nor that a few of those pairs of eyes were familiar to him. Pedamaru probably sent them to go after you, Akane commented, causing Naruto to snort. With a plume of smoke, a purple-haired woman appeared, bouncing out of the smoke with a grin on her face. Well, it's good to see she's so hyperactive, thought Naruto, as he watched the woman he had removed the curse mark from the day he became a genin. He however had to stifle a smirk, as he spotted a white rose tied into her hair. Alright brats, I'm Anko Mitarashi, the proctor of the second exam. Now well, I explain what the exam is and will be coming around with a form you have to sign before you can participate, declared the woman, as several began walking around handing out sheets of paper. Alright, this test is a survival exercise. You will each be given one of these scrolls, either a heaven or an earth scroll, and the goal is to get the other scroll. And make it to the tower in the middle of this lovely forest behind me, lovingly called the Forest of Death, said Anko, stopping when she heard muttering. I've seen scarier, muttered Naruto under his breath, only for a kunai, to be thrown at him only for him to catch it by the ring mere millimeters from his forehead. Anko, who appeared behind him, had semi-wide eyes. Well, she hadn't been her fastest speed, he shouldn't have been able to catch that. It's ones with attitudes like that which die first, said Anko with a smirk, pulling the kunai out of Naruto's hand. I bet they all just get distracted by your beauty, said Naruto, smirking, as he saw the blush on Anko's face. Anko just jumped back to her previous position on the fence, trying to rid herself of the blush. Now you have to sign the forms which clears us of any wrongdoing, should you die in there, which trust me some of you will, if not by the plants and animals then by each other, as you need to have one of each type of scroll at the tower in 5 days. Now about the scrolls, you can't open them until you make it to the tower, said Anko. So hop to it, fill out the forms, and then bring your team's forms up, and exchange them for your scroll, said Anko. Naruto stood by himself outside one of the gates of the Forest of Death, waiting for them to open. Just one last piece of advice, came Anko's voice over a set of loudspeakers. Don't die, said Anko before the gates were flung open. Naruto casually walked through the gates, pulling his bow off his back, before jumping up into the lower branches of the trees of the forest. Several hours later, Naruto was tree hopping when he heard a high-pitched scream. Naruto stopped dead on the tree branch before taking off for the scream. Running through the trees, Naruto burst from the tree line to find a trio of AIM ninja standing over 2 dead Kusa ninja, and one alive red-haired girl who had torn clothes, and was more than likely the one who screamed. Shit, she's an Uzumaki, muttered Naruto himself, notching a trio of arrows, one for each of the AIM nin's skulls. But before Naruto could attack the nin, one of the nin turned to him. You guys, we got company, said the nin, before his 2 comrades turned, and also saw Naruto, who let his arrows fly. Only one of the 3 hit its mark, and the nin fell over dead, while the other 2 glared at Naruto. Oh, you're dead now, buddy, declared one of the nin. Naruto put his bow on his back before dropping from the tree branch, landing in a crouch, as the ground beneath him buckled as he landed. Is that so? Questioned Naruto, pulling his blade off his back. Oh, scary big-ass sword, you compensate for something, mocked one of the 2 remaining nin before both burst out laughing. Naruto just stood there before a mist was pulled in around them, and the 2 AIM nin stopped laughing. I thought he was a Konoha nin, said the one of the AIM nin. I'm sure his headband was a Konoha one, said the other, confused. It is, but I am Naruto Uzumaki, the legacy and second coming of the monster of the mist, declared Naruto's disembodied voice from within the mist. Now like that shit stain, I could simply kill you, but you were going to rape my cousin, so I'm going to kill you, slowly, painfully, declared Naruto. What are you going to do, Blondie? Taunted one of the nin. Hyuten Shimoburo, Ice Style Frost Breath, called Naruto, breathing a cloud of ice at the 2 nin. Both jumped out of the way, however both were caught a little bit by the frost breath, their feet both getting caught in the cloud. Naruto appeared from the fog, and slammed the side of his blade into both nin, before vanishing back into the mist. Son of a, one of the 2 AIM nin began, only to be interrupted when Naruto kicked him in the chin, knocking him to the ground, and before he could even move 2 pairs of arrows pierced each of limbs, and he began screaming. Only for Naruto to once more appear from the fog, slamming his feet on Nin's face, crushing the man's skull. You bastard, yelled the last nin, only for an arrow to nail him right between the eyes. The mist cleared, as the last AIM nin fell to the ground. Please dad, don't hurt me, said the red-haired girl, backing away from Naruto. Hey, I promise I won't hurt you. What's your name? Asked Naruto to bend down so the 2 were at eye level. Karen Uzumaki stuttered, Karen still terrified of the man in front of her. Well Karen, like I told those stains of human beings, I am Naruto Uzumaki, declared Naruto with a smile, hoping to calm the girl down. Uzumaki? Questioned Karen, her eyes wide. Naruto nodded, only to be tackled by Karen. Hey, it's okay Karen, said Naruto, gently rubbing her back. Family is all I have wanted, ever since my mother died, muttered Karen against Naruto's chest. Then stay here, I can offer you asylum here in Konoha, stay with me, Emoto, said Naruto, making Karen look at him shocked. Nai-sen spoke to Karen, hugging him. Naruto himself just hugged the girl, while silently creating a clone to find the scrolls. After several moments of searching, the clone returned with a heaven and earth scroll to match the earth one he already had. Alright Emoto, we need to move. I still have an exam to pass, said Naruto. But you by yourself? Questioned Karen, looking at Naruto confused. Yes, but that's how I entered. I'm taking the exam solo, explained Naruto. Oh, Karen was impressed. Naruto gently pulled Karen to her feet before the 2 took to the trees. After a couple of minutes of running, Naruto stopped and knelt down in front of Karen. Hoping it'll be quicker, declared Naruto. Karen nodded before climbing onto Naruto's back. Naruto stood up and began to run through the trees. So nice-en, began Karen, getting a hint from Naruto to indicate he was listening. How did you use Kurigakure no hidden miss jutsu? I thought only ninja from Kurigakure could use that jutsu, questioned Karen, her chin resting on his shoulder. I spent 6 years training away from Konoha under many different senses, one of whom was a former Kyonin and a former member of the Seven Swordsmen, said Naruto. Karen nodded. Who else did you train under? Questioned Karen. Not really something I want to get into right now, not that I don't want to tell you, I will, but later, okay? Questioned Naruto, getting a nod from Karen. Naruto then slowed, as he spotted a trio of Kusanin wandering around on the forest floor. Those bastards, growled Karen. You know them? Questioned Naruto. They picked on me relentlessly, because of my hair, said Karen, sadly glancing at her hair. Naruto put her down. Don't let their words get to you. Emoto, your hair is beautiful, declared Naruto, making Karen smile at the blonde. Besides, their hair is going to be red shortly. It's time for these bastards to learn what it is to cross my family, said Naruto, dropping from the forest floor. Oh assholes, back here, yelled Naruto, pulling out his bow. And who the hell are you? Questioned one of the nin, glaring back at Naruto. The big brother of the woman you tease for her hair, declared Naruto, pulling out a trio of arrows and notching all three. You're such an idiot, there's 3 of us, and only one of you, declared the obvious leader. Well, that is true, but perhaps you miscounted, said Naruto, letting all 3 arrows fly at the weakest link of the team. All 3 arrows hit their mark, 3 spots up in a straight line up, and down the man's chest. Hyuten Herik no Jutsu, Ice Style Ice Dragon Jutsu, called Naruto, a dragon forming out of ice, and flying at the other member of the trio of Kusanin. The nin tried to jump out of the way only for the dragon to follow him, swallowing him whole before smashing apart, revealing the man perfectly encased in ice. Because I only counted 1, said Naruto, glaring at the man who by now was looking terrified. What are you? Questioned the man. I'm your death, declared Naruto, ripping the huge sword off his back before running forwards, and slicing the man from his left hip to his right shoulder. That was for Karen, declared Naruto, half tempted to spit on the man. Deciding against it, Naruto began looking for the scroll, finding a heaven one. Naruto jumped back up to Karen, once again leaning down, so she could hop onto his back once she was on again. Naruto took off, heading in the general direction of the tower. After a few moments, Naruto stopped dead on a tree branch. What is it? Asked Karen. Some friends I need to see, declared Naruto with a smile before he moved off in another direction, heading away from the tower. Why not outside of the forest? Asked Karen, confused at Naruto's actions. Because they are planning to defect from their village to Konoha soon, and neither I nor they need anyone linked to their old village finding out what is happening, spoke Naruto, as he drew closer to his friends. I take it these are friends you made while training away from Konoha, said Karen, getting a nod from Naruto. Yeah, I stayed in their village for a few months training, and became friends with them, and several others, declared Naruto with a smile at the fond memories. After a few moments of silence, tree-hopping Naruto and Karen dropped into a clearing. Hey you 3, spoke Naruto, shocking the trio of Odo ninja. God damn it Naruto, yelled Kin, clearly spooked by Naruto's sudden appearance. Karen giggled at the interaction, as she hopped off Naruto's back. Who's she? Questioned Dosu, nodding to the girl on Naruto's back. This is Karen, this is Dosu, Kin, and Zaku, declared Naruto, introducing the 4 to each other. Nice to meet you, spoke Karen with a smile. You too, replied Kin with a smile to the girl, Dosu, and Zaku, nodding to Karen. Should we be assuming this is you being in touch? Questioned Zaku, looking at his blonde friend. Yeah, I've organized everything with the Hokage, all that remains is you guys meeting with T and I, and telling them what you know, declared Naruto. Thanks for watching my video, leave a like if you enjoyed my video, and also do consider subscribing to my channel for more awesome content. See you next time, till then sayonara.